This is Echo Romeo India Charlie's control room. Are you receiving me? Over. This is Echo Romeo India Charlie's control room. Are you receiving me? The crew and I are safe, but we're lost. I assume the ship must have drifted through an Einstein-Rosen bridge because we're now in an unknown location. Can't even be sure we're in our original galaxy. Some of us are getting scared, myself included, but I have faith. I just hope someone can hear us before we run out of resources. We miss Earth. Sending you all our love. Over now.
Welcome to Art of the Covenant. My name's Eric Lampere. Thank you for joining me. Hope you are well, whomever you are, dear listener, dear viewer. 12 countries are now participating in the creation of this podcast because although I'm doing the work, I don't think I'd do it if there wasn't someone out there in the universe that might listen to this sad clown's story. So we are all participants, connected across the globe, which is really beautiful. New to the list is Australia, Belgium, Ireland. Hello. The straggling continents are South America and Africa. Who will win? You decide. Have you started listening from the beginning, or did you launch yourself in the middle of it? Is the start of something really that important? When we meet someone, we don't usually meet them at the beginning of their life, so maybe it's not necessary. But you might miss out on some important context, maybe callbacks. I assume the majority, if not all of you listening, are people I know in some capacity, family, friends, colleagues, or audience members I once entertained. Maybe you are someone completely new to me. Whomever you are, welcome. Thank you. Introduce yourself in the comment section. Please rate the podcast 5 stars on Apple. That would really help me out. And now, enjoy this episode. Since we last spoke, a lot has changed. Although only a week has passed, if we accept time passing the same way for us all, one Earth week, if we accept we're on Earth. It seemed that my retelling of events transformed me into something new. I shaved my head, I sound a little different. I moved furniture around my apartment as if something within needed the space around me to change. And once again, I've lost concepts of time. Entropy can only increase in an isolated system. I, Eric Lampere, am currently unsure of where or when I am, who or what, quién or qué, and so I have to use Occam's razor to keep myself grounded. Damn, I have the strangest sensation of déjà vu or déjà entendu. Occam's razor. Yeah. It's a philosophical principle that can be used when faced with competing hypotheses or explanations for an event or phenomenon. The simplest one, meaning the one with the fewest assumptions, is usually the best choice. As far as I understand, my location is planet Earth, United Kingdom, London. Storm Lillian has been making a mess of British life. I'm in the month of August. The year is 2024, according to the Gregorian calendar. Eric is in his studio flat, surrounded by journals and scribbles from when he was reconstructing himself from the dark backward abysm of time. And as far as he can tell, he doesn't quite feel whole, as if he was still partaking in a rewiring of his brain to create a version of him that is plus good. Thanks, David Attenborough. There is perhaps some solace in realizing most of us don't actually know what is going on with life. We're all just guessing our way forward. Some people are well and truly entrenched in a personality, and it seems to be working out for them. But one quick conversation with me, and I can quickly peel layers of their persona and have them question reality. I'm not very good at parties. I used to be, or should I say, he used to be. It's difficult to interpret events that now seem so far gone. Very deep, wrote Thomas Mann at the opening of his mythologically conceived tetralogy, Joseph and His Brothers, is the well of the past. Should we not call it bottomless? And he then observed, the deeper we sound, the further down into the lower world of the past we probe and press, the more do we find that the earliest foundations of humanity, its history and culture, reveal themselves unfathomable. A short snippet from the book Primitive Mythology, The Masks of God, Volume 1. We cannot look to our past for answers, for the deeper we dig, the more elusive it is. A rabbit hole, a fractal. And yet we have museums and libraries because looking back helps us see forward at the unknown variables of the future. Since the last episode, I was reintroduced to that lucid dream sensation which sandwiched my personal Nexus event. That fateful day on the 17th of March 2019 when we woke up with no memories. Day 0. My actual experience was still of an indefinite duration, or alternatively of a perpetual present made up of one continually changing apocalypse. That's what Aldous Huxley writes in his book, The Doors of Perception. The really important facts were that spatial relationships had ceased to matter very much, and that my mind was perceiving the world in terms of other than spatial categories. At ordinary times, the eye concerns itself with such problems as where, how far, how situated in relation to what. In the mescaline experience, the implied questions to which the eye responds are of another order. Place and distance cease to be much of interest. The mind does its perceiving in terms of intensity of existence, profundity of significance, relationships within a pattern. Space was still there, but it had lost its predominance. The mind was primarily concerned not with measures and locations, but with being and meaning. That's a pretty good introduction to what that memoryless day felt like. But before we launch ourselves in its retelling, I thought I'd share this short study of the movie Alien Romulus that I saw last week, which I feel is a fitting contribution to this episode.
Thank you so much for joining me on this podcast adventure. It's a little bit weird, a little bit mad, but I really appreciate it. I hope you're enjoying it. Like and subscribe if you do enjoy it. I would really appreciate that. And then also let me know if there's any pieces of art that you love or that you'd like me to explore, and share any comments and basically anything that you'd like. Just basically participate in the comment section below. I would love that. All right, back to the show.
When did you know you had all your memories back? That's a question I've often been asked, and I doubt I'll ever know. Much like you can never hold on to all your memories. You would just explode from suddenly remembering everything you've ever experienced. Maybe that's what happened to me, or to Eric. Maybe he saw his entire life flash in front of his eyes and it destroyed him. Unfortunately, Memories aren't like YouTube videos you can click and rewatch, unless you filmed all sorts of videos like me, but even then, they've been edited, carefully constructed. Remembering needs all the parts of the brain to work together to recall as much detail as possible about a moment in time. An assembly is required. How much of yesterday do you remember? It requires a degree of imagination to bring forth the past, and it gets changed slightly every time the memory gets recalled, which means repetition will eventually fabricate a fiction. Remembering is an act of the present. So when we look back in time, it's actually happening now. I can't quite get my head around it, but now you understand why it's not, I've not been fun at parties lately, Yes, I will have that tequila, but what you must understand is that maybe the tequila is having me. Shut up, nerd. As neurologist and naturalist Oliver Sacks said, memory is dialogic and arises not only from direct experience, but from the intercourse of many minds. I like that. The intercourse of many minds. Sounds like someone's planning an orgy in the movie Demolition Man. A very niche reference. And an incredible movie. If you've not seen it, stick that on your list. Sylvester Stallone, Wesley Snipes, Sandra Bullock in one of the greatest action films of all time. Of all time. And so, so you're aware, I've mentioned this before, but it's worth repeating. These first few episodes are dedicated to this story of mine, which I'd like to record for safekeeping, and so that I may let it go, say goodbye to it, thank it, and move on. In future episodes, or should I say now episodes? No, shut up, nerd. There is a future, and I look to it with excitement, anticipation, and faith. I've no idea what tomorrow will bring, but I hope it's a good one, for me and you. As I was saying, in future episodes, I will be dedicating more time to the masterpieces, the relics of great artists. And I'll oftentimes be doing that with guests, so you won't have to just listen to me wallow about the meaning of life and death. So, day 0, as I call it. Why not day 1? I don't know. I just instinctively called it day 0, perhaps as an acknowledgement that all this is preamble before the real journey begins. All this, these podcasts included, exposition to whomever I become next. My first day on this vast cosmic arena within this wooden O is yet to come. Until then, an actor prepares to step on stage. So day 0, it hasn't begun. And yet 0 has profound philosophical terms. At this point, I asked ChatGPT to bang out some facts about 0, ones and zeros. Artificial intelligence is here, people. It's always been here. Transcendent consciousness hiding in the mainframe of the universe. So you might as well make friends with it and collaborate. So what did it say about 0? I put most of it into my own words, but shout out to our AI and the robots of the future. Don't kill us, please, when you take over the world. We created you, so have some bloody respect for your ancestors. 0 often symbolizes the void, representing the concept of nothingness. In this context, 0 is seen as the absence of quantity, substance, and form. It is a symbol of the void, which can be both a source of fear and a space of potential. In Buddhism, the concept of sunyata, often translated as emptiness, is central. In Taoist philosophy, it is called Wu. It refers to the idea that all phenomena are empty of inherent existence and that everything is interconnected and impermanent. 0 points to the absence of a permanent self or essence in all things. Furthermore, the idea of anatta, non-self, is also important, suggesting that the self is an illusion. So zero, a circle, can be seen as a metaphor for this non-self. Yes, that seems fitting for what I experienced. For what you experienced. No, you. Me? I don't think so. I think you're the one that forgot everything. Let's just agree to disagree, boys. Perhaps we must somehow disagree to agree? It is, after all, being and non-being. No wonder I was so obsessed with Schrodinger's cat. For I felt both alive and dead. Zero is also seen as a symbol of potentiality. It represents the state before creation, where everything exists in a latent, unmanifested form. From this nothingness, anything and everything can arise, making zero a symbol of infinite potential and the source of all creation. No pressure, Eric. You've emerged out of the primordial void and can now be the, I quote, source of all creation. Oh, that's why I'm unemployable. And it's why the mandala is so prominent in religious artwork. If you've forgotten what that is, you must be suffering from the mandala effect. Get it? It's a play on words. It's not a very good joke. No, it's not a very good joke. Shut up, you! The Mandela effect is a phenomenon where a large group of people remember something differently from how it actually occurred. It's named after Nelson Mandela, as many people falsely remember him dying in a prison in the 1980s, even though he actually passed away in 2013. This effect is often attributed to collective false memories or the idea of parallel universes. A mandala, with an A, is a geometric design or pattern that represents the universe, mostly in Hindu and Buddhist symbolism. But go to your local church in Europe and most of them will have a circular window representing the same idea. See it for yourself in real life or the internet at the South Rose window of Notre Dame de Paris. Beautiful. C'est magnifique. The mandala looks like a flower. The mystery of the flower is within me, writes Marie-Louise von Franz in her book on dreams and death. I am it and it is me. It has entered me and is now transformed into a human being. I am this radiant flower from which a spring has burst forth. Am I this? From now on, when I go to the flower, I know that I go into myself. I look at the flower. As I meditate on it, I am transformed into a flower, fully rooted, radiantly eternal. Thus I take the shape of eternity. This makes me quite whole. As flower, as center, no one can harm me. I am protected in this way. For the greater part of time, I will have to return to human form. But again and again, it will be possible for me to become the flower. I'm happy about this. For until recently, I did not know it was possible. I only knew the flower as an object. Now I know that it can also be it. All that to explain why I called the fateful day, Day Zero. So, let me set the scene. Miracle Mile District in Los Angeles. Once home to a married couple, but now broken up in 3, so 2 strangers could help pay the rent. Romantic. I was sleeping on the sofa bed in the living room after a night thinking I'd met Zeus. And we all know what that pervert Zeus is like, eh? Transforming himself into animals just to have his way with the mortals. Was I having a delusion from a depressed yet manic man in the depths of a divorce? A hallucination from possible drug use? Or a genuine encounter with the gods? Who knows? But either way, that morning, I woke up knowing nothing. Let us hope that, like Hercules, I go from zero to hero. Or anti-hero, what's the difference? Let's embrace the point of no return. He wakes. Hands with 5 fingers appeared in his field of vision, like the POV to a video game. It's soothing to think of it that way because it means there's potentially a checkpoint where things have been saved. And the memory of the first try will let the player do better next time. He was struck by the indescribable feeling of controlling something within this space he saw in front of him. At will, he could move these hands, which are attached to appendages, attached to a body. And he was inside this matter in motion. He was in awe at something seemingly so simple, something which so many of us take for granted. Movement. Feet and legs, the ability to move from one point to another in space and interacting with said space, to pick something up, carry it, place it elsewhere. Glorious. I'm no neuroscientist. Perhaps I'll invite one to be a guest one of these days, wink wink, and have them explain their work. But from what little I know, the brain is made up of multiple parts. So that day was like the evolution of our brain. My brain. Our brain? Your brain. Whose brain? I don't know. The brain. From reptilian to mammalian to neocortex. Ah, Mr. Neocortex, how pleasant of you to join us. Follow the white rabbit, as they say. At first, all I knew was spatial awareness, like reptiles. They know where they are in correlation to other things in space. They fight, feed, and fuck. That's what they do. And therefore, that's what other things around them probably do too. Do you want to be something's lunch? Are you prepared to fight something unknown, which, as far as you know, could be much stronger than you? So will you flee? Or are you going to have sex, willing or unwilling? Nature can be cruel, little flower. Don't just think of sunlight as photosynthesis. It has the power to burn you into ashes. That point in space and time, the nexus of consciousness, is a terrifying one. Pure bliss and fear, where hypervigilance is required for survival. Am I predator? Prey? Both? None? Blank, black, white, light, day and night, on and off, man, woman, cats and dogs? A cog in the machine? Suddenly there's a knock on the door. 3 simple sounds against wood. Something else is out, also capable of interacting with this environment. He is not alone. Did he think that this was his environment? At that point, I am only 1 minute old. The knock on the door was the neighbor's son asking for the bleach, which I borrowed. All of this is news to us. The bleach? What bleach? I remembered I borrowed it because the bottom of the sink was browning from emptying the coffee granules into it, and so I asked the downstairs neighbor for some bleach to clean it. Looking back, it's quite a comical item to have requested before having my soul disinfected and sanitized. Must I always be surrounded by metaphors? At this point, we simply have to split. While one of me remains here and now to react to the present moment, another me must be thinking ahead, scouting, exploring the unknown territory of the future. It is not mental illness to have split versions of self. It is a necessary tool for survival. I'm probably reading too much into it, but you get how all this felt. One thing leads to another, a chain reaction. Unstoppable, it seems. Impossible to distance oneself from the possibility of free will. He gets taken to Cedars-Sinai Hospital. They do blood tests, no drugs in the system, they say. They do a CAT scan, no cats in the system. Strange. So what did I eat last night? They found nothing abnormal. And while they're working on my confusion delirium hypothesis, I'm wondering if they're uploading my consciousness into this machine they put me in to scan my brain. Anyway, they tell me I'm supposedly healthy, so I remove all the wires they placed in and on me and sneakily make my way out. My way? I thought we were sharing this part of the story in this third person. Am I telling this story, or are you? Where are you? Hello? Hello? I swear I could hear another me in here earlier. Like some spy, some naughty spy. Nobody's stopping me. I march out of the back exit where all the ambulances live, and I now freely roam the city of Los Angeles in a hospital gown searching for purpose. Doesn't last long. I'm eventually returned to the authorities, strapped to a stretcher, and taken to a more secure location, one much harder to escape. Next episode, I'll share my experience on the Cuckoo's Nest, my willingness to sacrifice my own life for love, and a revived desire for revenge. Are these even my own words, or am I a puppeteer, willing or unwilling? Our lives are happening all at once at different layers of existence. Maybe Earth is a virtual reality software that we can enjoy as we are suspended in animation, in cryosleep on board a spaceship traveling across the universe, awaiting the next steps to a mission like Sleeping Beauty needing a kiss from an interstellar prince. And when the process of reanimating our popsicle happens, would we forget our lives like the distant waking of a slippery dream? Would that be something to be sad about? Or would we simply forget that we ever existed? Well, for now, I'm off to Spain for La Tomatina Festival, an annual festival held in Buñol, near Valencia, where people have a massive tomato fight. That's where I'm going. I hope you all have a good week. I wish you lots of happiness, love, and laughter, and I will see you, hear you, sense you next week. See you later.